Dude, you are getting well. Dudes of all genders, welcome to season 2 of Dude, You're Getting Well. I'm so excited for our special guest today. If you're listening live or you're listening later in Spotify or wherever you stream podcasts, don't forget to subscribe so that you can be the first to hear these episodes, be able to replay them, get all the juicy nuggets inside, and take us home. Also, by subscribing, you help spread this medicine and help spread this message. So, with all the other stuff out there today, if you like what you're hearing, please help share it. And without further ado, I am so excited for my guest, Jamie Bronstein. So, I met Jamie on a speaker with Michael Unbroken and the Unbroken Conference. And Jamie had an impact on me. I liked her message and her energy, and she was a yes to being here. Jamie is a relationship coach, a licensed social worker, author, and speaker. She hosts Love Talk Live on LA Talk Radio. She works with singles, couples, and people going through breakups and divorces. Jamie has shared her relationship advice on various media outlets. She's been on air with Ryan Seacrest, KTLA, ABC, NBC, News, Forbes, New York Post, you name it. Jamie has a BA in psychology from Boston University, a master's from NYU, and spiritual psychology from University of Santa Monica. Her education over 20 years has enabled her to help her clients heal and see challenges as opportunities to evolve, turning pain into purpose, which y'all know about right here. As an expert, Jamie's a trusted guide to manifest love and to live a fulfilled life. Jamie's mission is to create a positive impact while changing lives worldwide. So you're about to get some of that magic right here. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So are you in LA?
Yes.
You're on the West Coast. All right. Well, we'll have to connect when we're out there.
Yes, definitely. So are you in New York?
I am.
Okay.
I'm on the New York side.
For anybody who's watching this, when you said the NYU thing, it's like we just discovered that we are alumni together. Alumnus.
Yes.
Yes,
we're both alumni. Yes. Yeah, it was really exciting. And I actually looked at the social work program there. I've really thought a lot about being a therapist, and the NYU has a drama therapy program as well, one of the only ones in the country. So I also looked at that that's something I facilitated a little bit. So it was just, it's so cool how the universe works, and we run into people. And we've never really met, and I mean, we haven't met until now.
And it's interesting that we were there at the same time, like the same amount of years, around the same years.
I feel like the universe brings us together, when we need to. And so you're all about love. I'm all about love. I help teach men and corporations and all kinds of people about love and self-care. What had you turn to love? Why love for you?
So I always say that I was born to do this work, especially because my name in French means I love. J'aime, J'AIME, means I love. And as long as I can remember, I've just been this little romantic, little boppity ball of love, and I've always loved love. And then I started studying psychology when it got to high school and college time. So it wasn't just like a passion for love and a love for love, but then I married the two. I married my intrigue of psychology with my fascination with love and relationships. And so that's how there's so much more. Like I went and I got my master's degree, and really for the first, I don't know how many years of my career, I was working with all different issues, all different ages. And I worked with kids at some point, but then I really discovered that the people that came in that were either looking for a relationship, were struggling with their relationship, or going through a breakup or divorce were the ones that I really gravitated the most towards. And so I got the domain therelationshipexpert.com. I don't love it because it sounds cocky and I'm just not very modest.
Mm.
However, I wanted something as I was branding myself that was so clear what I do. Relationships.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's no question. So I'll definitely put your website in there. What did you want to be when you were little? You want to grow up? Like,
So it's interesting that
did you want to
you
be a therapist when you were little?
know. Well, I did have a foreshadowing dream once. I had a dream when I was like 7 or 8 years old, 9, I don't remember. And I had a dream that I was getting kidnapped. And in the
Mm.
dream, instead of being scared of this man kidnapping me, I sat him down at the table and I said, I can help you find a child. Maybe
Mm.
you're just sad and you want a child. I'm already taken. I have my parents. So I tell that story because it was a foreshadowing of me just being so empathetic. And instead of being scared of someone who wanted to steal me,
Mm.
I had compassion for him. But anyhow, when I was little, interestingly enough, because you went to school for acting, I wanted to be an actress.
Did you ever pursue that?
Not really. I was very talented. I was always the star. I was Annie. I was Sandra Dee, Peter Pan in 6th grade. And
So
I
you did
flew.
do something. You're performing.
Yes, I had the bug and I had the talent and talking about marrying things, I I love that I have this voice and I want to share my voice in media and in ways like this and writing my book, which we will get to, because I'm not acting. I'm being myself.
Mm.
But I still have an audience and I'm sharing. It got to the point where I just wanted to do something a little bit more rewarding for me to be able to
Yeah.
share, to share and teach.
Hmm. So how did you get from there to where you are today? Like, what was can you walk us a little bit through your journey and maybe, yeah, any significant challenges along the way that stand out?
So, one of the reasons why I wrote this book called Manifesting, it's about manifesting love, is because this is the book that I wish I had on my
Mm.
manifesting love journey. Now, I wasn't old by any means when I met my husband. I was 34. Did I feel old? Yeah. And this book is for anybody who wants to manifest love or manifest anything. You could be in your 20s, you could be in your 80s, never too late to manifest and manifest love. But anyhow, so I I felt like at that point I was not in touch with my intuition enough. So I was making fear-based choices. I was staying in relationships too long. Um, I was what I call I've identified some dating personas in here, and I was the repeater. I kept doing the same thing over and over without looking inside. So I didn't have the tools. So through my all of my studies, especially my spiritual psychology studies, that is how I learned all of these concepts. And I managed to manifest. I got to the point in my life where I didn't want to have any more situationships. And I said, I just surrender. I'm just going to be present and have fun and be in my joy regardless. I'm not going to resent or go against being single. I'm going to accept it. And that's actually how I manifested my husband about 4 months later after I had that surrender moment. But no one was teaching me these things. So I
Mm.
kind of I was self-taught and then I got the formal education of all the spiritual studies to add to it. And I put it into practice and put it in my book.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish I was just talking with someone earlier on a different episode about how the power of, like, what if we had a relationship class in high school, as we're getting older, and we
Yeah,
start talking about communication and relationships and build structures for that in schools. Like, we need that in education.
sign me up, first of all. Now you're
Hmm.
making me think I'm going to go around to the high schools and pitch a class or yeah, high
Yeah,
schools, college. And
college too. Yeah, absolutely.
but I know you'll agree with this. It's even more than communication. It's that self-love. It's that
Mm.
confidence, but it's not just the confidence. It's that unconditionally loving yourself no matter what. So you walk around and you stand up straight and you feel good about yourself in a self-full way, not selfish or cocky.
Mm. That's beautiful. That would be great if we could all achieve that, right? one of the things we were highlighting in this episode is how to strengthen your intuition and learn to trust yourself. So, was there ever a time when you mentioned a little bit already that when you weren't quite aware, you didn't have the tools? Was there a time when you didn't trust yourself and you didn't have intuition and you were deep in a relationship, or what was the most challenging part of this that led you towards this work?
So the thing about intuition, we are all born with an intuition. They say women's intuition. For some reason, maybe if we did a study, women are like a little bit ahead because we have a stronger intuition. Some, although I know lots of very well known male intuitives and psychics and everything. So I do feel like my whole life I've been in touch with my intuition, but it wasn't strong enough. I didn't listen to it enough. And so it really took practicing and growing my intuitive muscle. So yeah, in the past, I like, for instance, and I talk about this in my book, I was dating this guy who shall be named nameless. We can call him Ted. And I actually renamed him in the book. I can't think what his name is right now. Anyhow, so Ted, and he on paper was everything. He is tall, dark, and handsome, very successful. It was we did fun things, but he wasn't necessarily fun because he drank a lot. So that was one of the problems. But I think at that point it was hard because I have such a close relationship with my parents, and my parents adored him because he was schmoozy, and they didn't know what it was like to just spend time with him alone, which was, like I said, not fun. He drank and he just was kind of like majorly stressed out. He had a very stressful job, blah, 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 which is never an excuse because I know plenty of successful men who are not like that, who are kind and, fun regardless. So long story short, I stayed in way too long. I got to the point where I was ready to break up with him. And my younger brother, who's so sweet, he said, go to the wedding with him in Hawaii. Because if you go to Hawaii and you're still not happy, then you know for sure, for shizzle. So I went to Hawaii, and when I got back, and breakups are so hard. That's also why people stay in relationships way too long. And I was worried my parents were going to be mad. But the thing is, when you do this work to get empowered and get in touch with your intuition and stay in your integrity, and you know your yes or your no, that's all that matters. All the chaos, all the outside opinions, nothing else matters, because that strength that comes from within is all that matters. So when I got to that point in my life, I felt free. I felt like I was walking on air. And so that's why I love to inspire people, to teach them how to get in touch with their intuition and follow it. And I strongly believe that when we make decisions out of love versus fear, and make decisions from our intuition, you will never have a regret again in your life.
That's a powerful promise. That's great. So, how do we start to practice listening, leading from our intuition, or from not making fear-based choices, especially when we're really, in the thick of it?
It's kind of like if you have any type of addiction, let's say, and you decide, it's time to go to AA, you have to realize there's a problem first. So it's about realizing there's a problem. I'm making decisions out of fear and starting to have awareness about that. And then starting to just continue to just have awareness of these constant choices, big and small, that we're making every day. Am I making this choice out of fear or out of love? Out of fear or of love? Is this a yes or a no? And the thing is, we always know right away if it's a yes or a no. But most people, as humans, the ego, the mind, gets in the way. So you have to tell your ego to take a seat. You say, I've got this. I am the driver of the bus of my life. And in terms of like physically putting it into practice, you could even start as small as when you're at a restaurant and you're deciding what to have for lunch and you just don't know, but your mind is like, I really want to have the cheeseburger. No, your heart wants to have the cheeseburger. Your mind's like, you're going to gain weight, whatever it is. You always know what you want. That's my point. And you don't have to ask the waiter or waitress what they think the best thing on the menu is, because what they think the best thing on the menu is they're a completely different person and you've never even met them also. So why would you even trust them? So
Mm,
I like to bring that up as a very simple way to start, but really it's about, at the end of the day, these constant choices that we're making that are big and small. And before you go to sleep at night, you can ask, as a bedtime intention, you can ask the universe, help me to connect with myself. Show me how I can connect with myself. In my book, I have an exercise, they're I am statements. You make a list of who you are. I am smart, I am confident, I am adventurous, I am silly, whatever it is. And you look at that list before you go to sleep. So I don't want to give it too much away from my book, but
mhm.
there's some stuff, some nuggets.
That's great. And do you practice that? Do you practice any of these tools for yourself still?
Yes. So there was a time, because I do recommend doing at least a 33-day process, doing those I am statements for 33
Mm,
days. There's something, as you probably know, with habits. Once you do something for 33 days, it becomes a habit, it becomes normal. So for 33 days, set a timer on your phone. And I didn't set a timer, but I just because I was like so into it. But I did do this and I did feel like it really made a difference and a shift in my life and helped me to connect with myself more.
mm,
And I do it once in a while, like just for
mhm.
fun. It's like if you go on a diet and then you need to, if you did start eating cheeseburgers, I know I was saying to eat the cheeseburger, but you got to, but let's say you fell off the wagon with smoking. And
Yeah,
once in a while, you need to just remind yourself, okay, this is why I need to not be smoking. So
yeah,
it's nice
I
to do it once in a while.
understood. And so tell us about your book. You've been referencing this. It's called Manifesting. And, I was thinking, oh, this is how men can manifest. But you were actually, this is for how everyone can manifest love. And this was your practice for how to manifest a man in your life.
Yes. So I tell my manifesting story about manifesting my husband and a bunch of all my dating guys' stories, changed the names previous to my husband.
Uh-huh.
There's also some of my clients' stories of their manifesting love adventures and inspirational stories. In addition to all of this, and before I go on, anybody can read this book. You can apply these manifesting concepts to manifesting a job, manifesting a house, manifesting anything, manifesting person. Like anybody can read this book. It's just that, first of all, the title, the play on words, manifesting, and I did it. So, and I was an expert at it. I'm good at it. So I want to teach people. However, it really is a book. Anybody can read this book. And what's in it are 7 dating personas. So, like the chameleon, the person that changes themselves for every person they're dating, the
Uh-huh.
repeater, like I mentioned, the fault finder, no guy or no girl is good enough. There's I call it the misbeliever, could be Mr. Misbeliever, where you don't believe it's going to happen and they're all fear based. They're all fear based and they're there to protect you. And also, the book is wonderful because it provides the missing piece. What is between you and the love that you want to manifest? What is between you and the job, you and the house, whatever it is? And what I've come to realize is that there's 3 main things. The missing pieces are either you're doing the same thing over and over and haven't changed it. You have unresolved issues, which every human does, and you haven't looked at them, you haven't resolved them. And then intuition, which most people, until they start to become aware of their intuition, they're not, and they're not practicing trusting it. So there's so much more. There's so many spiritual nuggets, and it's stuff that when I learned it, my life changed, and so I just want to teach it to the whole world. So hopefully they will be making this book into lots of different languages as well. Because when I say world,
Yeah.
obviously not everybody speaks English in this world.
And where can we get this book?
You can get this book. So it's distributed by Simon & Schuster. So you can go to the Simon & Schuster website. You can go to Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble, Post Hill Press. That's the press. And there BAM stands for Books a Million, I think. Indie something. Lots of book places.
That's amazing.
Also,
Congratulations.
a very easy thing to do is if you go to manifestyourperson.com, all the links are there. Or my website,
Awesome.
therelationshipexpert.com.
Great. Thank you. Well, what are some of the things that you see in relationships with people who are struggling or, approaching divorce? That topic's come up a little bit today and on an earlier episode too. Like, what are the main themes you see in the couples um, who are doing well versus those who are on the way out? Do you see any distinct differences there?
Yes. So before I go into that, I would say that the top reasons why people break up or get a divorce are financial. I think that's the most common one. And
Mhm.
then communication. And so to answer your question, and communication thing is all fear-based. People are so scared to say how they feel and they're scared to use their voice because they're scared the person's going to leave. And then it just becomes a big problem. But I think that the difference between couples who are thriving is one is that couples who make it are growing together. It's not like one person's growing, one person isn't. You're growing together. They're having fun. They know how to communicate. They have lots of empathy, lots of compassion. They don't judge each other. They value each other. I always say ATV, authenticity, trust, and vulnerability, and valuing each other are such important things in relationships. So that's what all of these couples that are thriving, that are not just sustainable but thriving forever relationships have. And then the other ones have everything that's the opposite of what I just said. They are struggling. There's a lot of fear, a lot of misalignment with goals, with lifestyle, how they see things, a lot of not trusting, insecurities, unresolved issues. Lots of fun things.
Yeah. No, it's helpful to know. And I'm just capturing some of this as you said it, so that I love the ATV. That really sticks with me. Um, and then as far as people who are I'm thinking about some friends in particular who have been like eternally single and they've worked on themselves and they're wonderful and attractive inside and out. And they can't understand why they can't manifest someone, why it's not happening for them. And obviously, this could be very different, but have you come across that? Like people, who are like, Jamie, I've tried everything. Like, you can't help me. I've tried. You can't help me. I already know, or I'm already this age. So, like, what's wrong with me? That every person I'm attracting isn't working out. You hear any of that?
Oh, yes, all the time. And like I said in the book, it helps you figure out what is that missing piece.
Mm,
So many times it's so the universe gives us what we focus on. So it's backwards. Like these people are thinking that they're doing everything they can, but what's really going on is that they have too much of a tight grip, maybe a little desperation energy,
mhm.
and that's what they're focused on. And so they're really focused on the fear it's not going to happen. So the universe says, oh, they don't want it to happen. That's what they're focused on, even though it sounds so backwards. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I would say to this client, let's start focusing on visualizing what would it feel like when you're in the arms of this person? What would it feel like when you're feeling all this love, when your heart explodes because it just added another chamber?
Mhm.
What would it feel like to meet this person, to have this person in your life? Focusing on believing it's going to happen versus focusing on the fear it's not.
Mm. Just some of that energy of manifesting, right? Like that energy that whatever you're spending most time thinking about it was the thing you're going to see evidence for.
Yes, and everybody's different. Maybe there might be somebody who really isn't fearful it's not going to happen, but maybe their thing is something else. Maybe they're not in touch with their intuition. Maybe they haven't trusted themselves with the choices that they've made. Maybe they keep manifesting the same person over and over again, like the repeater. So
Mm.
I feel there's not one person that can come to me that I could say, I got nothing. I have no reason why you haven't found your person yet. Can't help you. You're on your own. No, there's always a reason. And that's why like my book empowers people to know there are things that you can do and realizations and aha moments and breakthroughs that you can have so you can feel, even though control is an illusion, but you can feel like that you are doing everything to manifest. And it is everybody's birthright to have love. There are no exceptions. Everybody's a soulmate. And so if you think that God, the universe said you're just not going to find love, that's just not true. It's a false negative narrative. So just shift that into the truth, which is the love that is for you, that is meant for my subtitle. I'm showing you now, everybody's watching. Manifesting a step-by-step guide to attracting the love that is meant for you. Everybody has that lid to the pot, the lid that fits in the pot.
Yeah. And for the people who are saying, well, I'm really working on this in a relationship, right? And I'm really working on this, but my partner isn't. I'm hearing maybe like, what do you say to people like that who feel like they're doing it all, but their relationship isn't working because the other person, right? It's their fault.
Well, it takes two to tango, first of all. So
right.
There's history there in that relationship, and it's an equation. The other thing is that, and this is why I call myself a detective, because when couples come into my office or on Zoom, I intuitively can pick up on their willingness, because simply if only one person is willing to make it work, it's not going to work. And if you are the person that is doing the work and the other person is not, you need to ask yourself, why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't really want to make it work? You deserve more.
Yeah,
as hard as that would be.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And the other thing you brought up that I wanted to ask some more about is the repeater. So you've mentioned that a few times, and I see a lot of those patterns that people are repeating these things. So can you give us a little taste of, not to necessarily give anything away from your book, but like a little bit taste of the repeater and maybe some things that we could implement today to bring some awareness or start to interrupt that?
Yes.
Whether that be in or out of relationship, right? I think about this, whether you're single or in a relationship, you can still keep repeating the same patterns in a relationship too.
So a very, very common one is the person who was either cheated on in the past, or maybe they have an insecure attachment because with their parents, they were either abandoned, or maybe they just had a parent who didn't abandon them, but just wasn't ever present. They were physically there, but not really there. So it could be from an insecure attachment, or you literally were cheated on in the past. And what happens is that people say they don't understand, why do they keep meeting somebody who's cheating on them? Well, it's because they haven't done the work to heal, to know the truth, to know what they deserve. And they're so scared that they're going to manifest somebody who's going to cheat on them, and they can't trust that that's what they're focused on. So that's what happens. It's crazy how these things work, but it is the truth of life. And when you can wake up and not walk around sleeping and start to really be aware of what is going on in your life, because we are constantly manifesting, that is how you, once again, control is an illusion, but you take control. It's like you take control back. You take control back of yourself, of your heart, your soul, who you really are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So what are some of the ways that you do that today? What are some ways you take control back of your heart, or you practice self-care, or nurturing your own self-love on a daily or weekly basis?
Yeah. So in terms of self-care, I'm going to be so honest. I just had a book launch, And it's been so much work because
Mhm.
even though I have a publisher, it's 70/30. So I really am doing 70/30, meaning like the author needs to do 70% of the work. So I don't recommend living like this just because I haven't been doing a lot of self-care. But I will give you an example of, and this is a finite amount of time. I mean, I'm always going to work hard to promote my book, but it's very intense right now. And I'll get back to exercising and doing yoga and taking time for myself, going on a walk. I haven't gotten a manicure in a million years, things like that. But in terms of like the emotional thing, so whenever, whether it's like a big thing or a small thing, and I'm not a conflictual person, I don't fight with people, I talk through things. However, if I ever do get triggered, if it's by my husband, who one of the nicest guys in the whole world, but he might say something that bothers me, or a family member or a friend, whenever I get triggered and I feel like, or misunderstood, let's say, now I have the tools to turn that around and say, I'm going to love myself even more because I know who I am. I'm sorry if you misunderstood this. And it's very empowering, and it calms down my nervous system, because in the past, like for many years, I would try so hard. No, but you have to understand who I am and what I meant and everything. But that's their thing. Like that's their unresolved issue. And sometimes I'll say to my husband, I'll say, I feel like you're projecting. And it's so cliche because I'm a therapist. And I feel like a lot of therapists do that with their spouses or significant others.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's such a he doesn't say like you're therapizing me. Like he knows that it's helpful. But I will say that sometimes I'll say, well, I feel like you're projecting. And actually a funny story recently, because he uses the tools that I bring to our relationship, not against me, but like he'll use them. So the other day he said something, and then my response, not that I was judging, but maybe he thought I was judging. And he goes, I'm just sharing my feelings. You always say that you're just sharing how you feel and you're allowed to feel that way. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. Share away. He's like, I feel like I'm like,
Mm,
I'm not judging. So, and then we
mm,
laugh. So it's good to
yeah.
have lighthearted laughter in a relationship also.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I hear myself in some of that dynamic too as well. And it's because my wife and I have both done coaching, and so we have to be really careful with each other, calling each other out on things, because we're all, at the same time you've got to focus on yourself too, right?
Yeah.
um, so, is there anything we didn't talk about today that you feel really passionate about that you would love to leave our audience with?
Well, I always do go back to that. The most important takeaway from my book, the most important thing that I teach is trusting yourself. It's my strongest message. It's the one I'm the most passionate about. And the reason is because when we get empowered and we trust ourselves, we we are free. It is freedom. It takes off so much stress of making decisions. And when we make those decisions that are based on our authentic self and we honor our truth, that is how we start to manifest everything that is just waiting for us. Anyway, it's when we get out of our own way. So get out of your own way and just live your life, because it's yours for the taking. It is all there, just waiting for you.
Oh, that's great advice. Last question I have. Well, no, that's not true, because I actually have a few closing questions I like to ask my guests.
Okay.
Um, as far as getting out of your own way, because that's something I really like to practice, and I have a history of self sabotage, and I teach specifically. I mean, my Instagram says self sabotage to success, to how to literally use that energy that you've used to beat yourself up your whole life to apply towards self care and manifesting, right? Just how you're talking about. But getting out of our own way can be tricky, right? So I know this is like totally subjective and kind of general, but what do you are there any ways that you love or think about any tools as far as getting out of your own way that you would want to share with us?
Yeah, so this is getting back to, and I'm glad you asked this because I didn't get to get that into it,
Yeah,
but I did mention the ego before.
yeah,
So to me, getting out of your own way means to not listen to your mind, which is your ego, which is just trying to protect you, but it only spews out lies and false lies and fear-based thinking. So the way to get out of your own way is because that's what's in our way. It's ourselves, it's our own way.
like
Is
the
like I said,
creature brain trying to keep us safe, that like primal thing, right? Is that what you're
exactly.
referring to?
Yes. So the ego was invented, developed a long time ago to keep us safe from bears and fires. And so it constantly is thinking it's keeping us safe. And we do need it because we don't want to get hit by a car or just like running down the street, run into somebody or a tree. Like there, we need it, or to put your hand on the fire instead of the pot when you're cooking soup, whatever. But it's trying to keep us safe from everything, from taking a risk, taking a chance, falling in love. What if we get hurt? So it's constantly giving you any excuse. And what happens is that people will get so excited about something and then right away the ego's like, oh, you can't be happy or excited about that for too long because I will give you a million reasons why you shouldn't pursue that, why you shouldn't take that next step. So getting out of your
Sounds
own
like
way.
every project I've ever started, right? It's like, I'm gonna launch this thing, and then the
But
ego's like,
somebody's already
oh,
done it. Okay,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, somebody has already done it, but it hasn't been you.
yeah.
I whatever it is you need to say, somebody's gonna do it better. No, you're gonna do it just the way you're gonna do it, and the right people are gonna resonate with you. It's knowing your gifts, knowing your worth, knowing that you have something beautiful to share because everybody does. So the getting out of your own way is dropping from your head to your heart. And your heart, your soul is right here. I'm pointing to it. I know not everybody's watching. It's once again saying, I hear you. Thank you for showing up, ego. I know you're not going to disappear because no human's ego ever disappears. The ego disappears when you go into heaven, when you're a soul. So it is part of the human experience. And thank you. Thank you for showing up. However, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this anyway because I deserve love. I deserve happiness. I deserve success. I deserve whatever it is that I know that this will bring me.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Well,
So my closing questions here that I love to ask every guest. One, you've already answered about your daily self care, and I got that. Thank you for being so honest about that. It doesn't always look pretty, and we're all like learning as we go. You're expanding newly. It's really inspiring to hear that you've got this book and that you are out there doing it. And you've got congratulations on the publishing and the placement. I mean, that's extraordinary.
thank you. Thank you so much.
So the rest, gets to just be like sharing this love with everyone and sharing the wealth and the medicine that is in there. So thank you for taking the time to do that with us today.
Of course. So I would be here.
So if your life were a Hollywood film, what would be the title?
Well, as soon as you said Hollywood film, I was thinking because remember I mentioned I wanted to be an actress when I was little. I definitely would have wanted to play the part of the Pretty Woman, the Julia Roberts character, because it's one of the best movies of all
So
time.
good. Yeah.
It's like the best romantic love story ever.
Um,
If my life, I wish I would have had this question before. If my life was a movie, okay.
yeah.
Can I take a moment?
Yeah,
Edit it,
sure.
or you're not going to edit this at all?
There's definitely people who have been stumped by many of these, so it's okay. It's meant to
Okay.
be.
I mean, meaning,
Yeah,
can you
just the
cut out
first
the
thing
time
that
that I'm thinking? Okay, just say it. Okay.
just the first thing that comes to your mind.
Say the question again. I'm closing my eyes this time.
If your life were a film, what would be the title?
The title of my film would be She Loves and Is So Loved as well.
Hmm, that's great. Where you have like, the giant love behind you. So I'm thinking this title's got to have love in it. That's
There it
cool.
is. And my
And
name.
yes, yeah,
And
j'aime,
Jam Jam Jam. I love love. Jam Jam. Or you could say I love Jamie.
j'aime amour, l'amour.
Oh,
My mom
yeah.
was a French teacher, sorry.
Love. Yeah.
So if your husband titled the film, what do you think he would call it if he got to choose the title?
Of my life or
Uh-huh. Of the movie of your
I was
life.
gonna say that he feels grateful to have married the best lady in the world. um,
Okay.
no, okay. Um, it's so funny because this whole time I've talked about it's just being self-full. It's not in a
Uh-huh.
cocky way, but we talk to each other about how grateful we are for each other.
Mhm.
Okay, so what would
So
he
if he
title?
were to
Okay.
title the film about Jamie Bronstein's life, his wife, he would call it.
She goes for it and she gets it and she makes it happen.
Ooh,
She makes it happen.
nice. She makes it happen. I love that.
Sometimes she doesn't sleep at night because of it, but she makes it happen.
All right. That's awesome.
Which
And
is fun.
I love it. And what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
All right. That's getting a lot of airplay on this new season. Um,
No, I could say
and
fuck all day, every day. Fuck
yeah.
it. Fuck it.
Well, you lived in New York City too. You get it.
It is such a wonderful word, and I get in trouble. We have a 7-year-old son, Noah. I get in trouble when I swear.
Yeah. With Noah,
Yeah,
I
he
used to
doesn't.
yell at my mom for swearing. I'm like, Mom, I'm getting in trouble at my friends' houses now because I'm repeating the words you say. That's funny.
I don't think he's not gonna be a swearer because he hates how much I swear.
That's well, hey, whatever it takes. That's a great like rebellion, reverse psychology tool. You just curse a lot, and your kid's like, "I'm never gonna sound like you."
Yeah, and with
They become like the most polite human ever.
I'm a little concerned with the food thing because one of the first words that he learned, we were doing flashcards when he was little, teaching him how to learn words, and it was a joke. It was like and it, very easy words, and then one of the words was organic because ever since he was born, I call him. I made an organic baby. Everything I ate was organic. I'm big into the organic thing, and so he'll be like, "Mom, it's okay if it's not organic." So now I'm a little worried that he's going to rebel and then like eat really unhealthy. So we'll see.
He's gonna eat the cheeseburger.
He eats plenty of cheeseburgers. I
Uh,
hate the black lines on burgers because it can be a carcinogen, but I'm getting over it now. When he was younger, I was freaked out.
you're doing great. You're
I'm
doing
trying to be
great.
cool and chill.
You're doing great. Okay, so last question. If you could give the world one gift today, what would you give us?
The gift is love, but in a deeper way. Love is why we live. And like I said before, it's everyone's birthright. Everyone deserves it. No one is an exception. Do what you need to do in your life to cultivate more love, to love yourself more, so that more love comes in. And then the people that are already in your life, tell them that you love them. It's a gift. Don't just assume. Don't assume that they know.
Mm,
I'm feeling this warmth in my heart as I'm saying this because it's the best feeling. And it really is. Like this is why we live.
mm, that's so beautiful.
So just love.
Well, thank you for that, Jamie, and that gift. If you'd like to follow Jamie, you can get hold of her at therelationshipexpert.com. Check out her book, Manifesting Everywhere. Sounds like almost everywhere books are sold.
Pretty
Um,
much.
and don't forget to subscribe here and comment. Let us know what landed, what resonated with you. And Jamie, I'm so grateful to have you on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And actually, I have a free gift,
All
which
right.
I will send you the link to. And
Please do.
it's a PDF of 7 days of manifesting love, affirmation, exercise, etc. So I will send that to you. And
Incredible.
if anybody is on Instagram, feel free to follow me there. I post tons of content, of videos and clips from my show, from just tons of different things. I'll post the podcast, and it's the same as my website, but a little different. It's at The Relationship Expert, but there's no E at the beginning of the word expert. So the relationship letter XPERT.
That's so hip.
And if you have any DMs, if you ever want to DM me with any questions, I answer my DMs.
Awesome. Yes, same here. So if you want to get hold of Jamie and you forgot of all of this, just DM me and I'll send you over to her. It's been so awesome to have you here. Here's some more love in the world. Thank you for sharing it with me and with our listeners.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone. And please